Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows of all time, so when the daunting task of casting a live-action version was raised by you guys, I was a little unsure. But now that we've gotten through pretty much the entirety of the series, it's a little bit bittersweet. This will be the last episode of the 5-part series that is recasting The Last Airbender. Go check out those previous 4 parts if you haven't already. I will be moving on to a new franchise after this one. A lot of people have been pushing for Batman in his Rogue Gallery, so stay tuned for that. I've already gone through Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, X-Men, and now The Last Airbender, so comment below which franchise you'd like to see next. But today we are still talking about The Last Airbender, because you guys have pointed out time and time again that I left out some pretty important characters in those original videos. I tried to focus on those fan favorites, but I did leave some out because those videos were getting quite long and they were quite packed. So today we're recasting Feng, Firelord Sozin, Guru Pathik, Admiral Zao, and Jet. So let's recast The Last Airbender. First up we have Feng, one of the main villains from the series, who is known for his calm and calculating nature. Although many people feel he's a villain, I don't see him that way because it's clear there is no war in Bong Sing Se. Either way, his intelligence and cunning, as well as a low, confident voice, which needs to be brought to screen, and I think there's no better man than Tom Wu for this role. Although he's really known for his martial arts skills, and this wouldn't really get a chance to show it off, he shows he can do the calm and commanding performance, but as we've seen in The Gentleman, he does so much with just sitting in a chair.
I facilitate. I don't participate in any of the aforementioned vices.
Although he doesn't have the exact same cadence to his voice, he still has that low, grumbly, demanding feel. But it's in Marco Polo where he plays Hundred Eyes that I can really see Feng shining through.
There is only one supreme executioner. And those who try to take his place are like children trying to carve wood as a master carpenter. Most will injure their own hands.
It's also worth noting that he just looks exactly like this character. He doesn't even need a Photoshop. So Tom Wu as Feng. Next up we have Firelord Sozin. We did cast Firelord Ozai, but since Sozin was pretty much best friends with Avatar Roku, it does make sense to cast him as well. Now Sozin has quite the journey, much like Roku. Their falling out, their friendship, but I'll be casting him in his final moments of the story, and leave the flashbacks to more unknown actors. I think Hal Yamanuchi is great for this. He is best known for his role in The Wolverine, where he definitely plays a similar type character, where you can really see that menace shining through even in the kinder moments.
A man can run out of things to live for, lose his purpose, become a ronin, a samurai without a master.
His face and the way he presents himself just shows you his true nature is about to shine through.
Your mistake was to believe that a life without end can have no meaning. It is the only life that can.
So Hal Yamanuchi as Firelord Sozin. Next up, we have a character that was left out of the Fire Nation episode that many people commented about. I actually did have him cast for the video, but it was getting quite long and packed, so I decided to push him off to this episode. Because Admiral Zao is definitely a major villain and player within the series and shouldn't be overlooked. Zao is someone who's power hungry, has a bad temper, and is really arrogant. He acts out of his own interest, and it shows time and time again. Hiroyuki Sanada is perfect. You can see him in The Last Samurai where he plays an aggressive character who doesn't show any mercy. I think General Zao's character within the live action should kind of be toned down and be more aggressive. I think Hiroyuki could do that perfectly. So Hiroyuki Sanada as Admiral Zao. Next up we have one of my favorite minor characters, Gurupatik. Although Gurupatik has very limited screen time, he's always made an impression on me. His voice, his philosophies, it surprises me that they came from a kid's show. Now, he was definitely a very difficult character to cast, but much like Uncle Iroh, I don't think looks are the most important thing here. It's more about that feeling. It's important that we have an Indian actor in this role as well, but I still want that voice and that intelligence to shine through. Gurupatik could be a silly one-off character, but it's his intelligence that makes him shine and really makes me buy into what he's preaching. And with Abhishek Bachchan, excuse the pronunciation, but he's someone who at first glance looks nothing like the character. He actually looks a little bit like Indian Ray Romano if I'm being honest, but he's actually one of the most seasoned Indian actors working today. But it's his off-camera persona which really sells me why he'd work for the role. In interviews, he speaks with such softness and intelligence that I can almost hear him saying the words of Guru Pathik.
If there are going to be discrepancies in the eyes of an outsider, then they must bear in mind of what we have been through, what our history is, and how we are still working towards keeping it together and still trying to make progress.
He was in The Great Gatsby as well, showing that he has been in bigger projects. But this really shows his range, and you can definitely see his age and his look coming through in the character a little bit more in these scenes. I would love to see how he'd adapt to this role and make it his own, but I think he has that feeling down, that intelligence to help me buy into the character. So Amitabh Bachchan as Gurupatik. Lastly, we have Jet, the character that a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Originally, I thought about tackling all of the freedom fighters, but I settled on just going with Jet and having unknowns for the smaller roles. The biggest thing about Jet that comes to mind is just his confidence. He's so sure of what he's doing, and he's so sure it's the right thing, and he's almost just too cool about it. I want an actor who can really bring that to screen. He does become a little bit obsessive with the Fire Nation, but I really want that cool persona that we can really buy into that character with. It's also important he looks like he's in his teenage years as well, since he has that connection with Katara. I end up going with Ludi Lin, who is a little bit on the older side, but he was recently in the latest Power Rangers movies where I totally bought into him playing a teenager. He definitely shows that more confident side.
Have any of you morphed before?
Yes, but only in the shower.
But he also brought an emotional complexity that I think is needed for Jet as well.
I live in the Melody Mobile Home Park. It's just me and my mom. And my mom is the best! And my mom, she's sick. I do what I can, but I'm scared. And if she goes, when she goes, I got nobody else. Look, I think being with you guys is good for me.
I think he could slow down and downplay his performance and come out with that nature that Jet is so well known for. So Ludi Lin as Jet. So there are my final choices for the Last Airbender series. Let me know in the comments below your choices. I always love reading them. As well as please comment on what you'd like to see next. What franchise? Also, I did say this was the last episode, but I thought about maybe doing a bonus episode about the Ember Island players, meaning that ridiculous play which happens inside the series. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in seeing that. As always, thank you for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.